good everyone? It's Steve from SnkrTechTalk, back with another video today. For today's video, I did want to do a comparison video of all of the shoes from the Greater Than series from Nike. Obviously, you have the Nike Zoom GT Jump 2, the Nike GT Cut 3, and the Nike GT Hustle 2. So without further ado, let's check them out. Alright, so getting started with the traction on all of these three shoes right here. Now, just to say it right off the bat, all of these shoes offer a very nice traction pattern. Now, starting with the GT Hustle 2, you do have a translucent outsole right here that does have a ton of pods running throughout the outsole, and it is a herringbone traction pattern. This does a fantastic job on clean floors. They are pretty quiet, so you're not going to get a ton of screeching sounds with the GT Hustle 2, but on any hard lateral cuts or linear movements, you're not going to have any issues with these on clean floors. On dirty floors, however, you will have to wipe from time to time because they do collect a ton of dust. After 3 or 4 plays, you will have to give them a quick wipe and then you'll be good to go. So a very reliable traction pattern here on the GT Hustle 2. Now on the GT Cut 3, as far as the traction goes, you do have a full-length herringbone traction pattern. Again, you do have a translucent outsole right here. So how this performs on clean floors, more or less the same as the Hustle 2. It's very reliable, it does a great job, and it offers a very loud screeching sound when you do come to a stop. Now on dirty floors, however, they do collect dust, a ton of dust at that, and you will have to wipe very frequently here in this shoe right here, more so than the GT Hustle 2. So there was a time when I was wearing the white and red pair, I was making a hard lateral cut, I hadn't wiped in 3 or 4 minutes, and I damn near did the splits in the GT Cut 3. And then as far as the traction goes on the GT Jump 2s, I would actually say this is one of, if not the most reliable traction pattern out of all of these 3 shoes right here. You are getting a multi-directional traction pattern right here. It is a solid rubber outsole as well. I think that might have something to do with it because these don't collect a ton of dust. They are very quiet as far as the feedback goes, but they just do a fantastic job as far as traction goes on clean and dirty floors. So if I had to give the edge to one shoe over the other between the Jump 2, the Cut 3, and the Hustle 2, I would have to give the slight edge to the Nike Zoom GT Jump 2. Now, as far as the cushioning goes on all of these models right here, they do all offer you something a little bit different. So on the Hustle 2s, you do get a full-length Cushlon midsole right here in the GT Hustle 2s. And then underneath the insole on this pair right here, you are getting a full-length Zoom Strobel setup. It's very plush, very responsive, and super close to the floor in the forefoot. It does play a lot like a Kobe model. And then in the Zoom GT Cut 3s, you are actually getting a Phylon midsole on the outside, but underneath the insole, you are getting a full bed of Zoom X foam. Now you might ask yourself, what is Zoom X? They do use it a ton in their Nike running shoes, and this is the first iteration of Zoom X in a basketball shoe. And how this performs on court is it's very, very plush underfoot, but not overly responsive in my opinion. I'm 210 pounds at 6'3", and I just found myself sinking into this shoe just a little bit too much to my liking. But up front, you do get some really good court feel. You get a very plush ride. It's just not the most responsive in my opinion on the Cut 3s. And then the Jump 2s, I'll say it right off the bat, this is bar none the craziest cushioning setup I've ever tried on. So starting at the back of the shoe, you get this super chunky React foam here at the back of the shoe. And then directly under your insole, very much like the Hustle 2s, you're getting full-length Zoom Strobel. So very plush, very responsive, and super comfortable underfoot. And then underneath that Zoom Strobel here in the forefoot, you do have 2 oversized Zoom pods as well. So you're getting a ton of cushioning. You know, if you're a big guy and you love a ton of cushioning, look no further because this is that shoe for you. And you can find this shoe for like 50% off. This offers fantastic cushioning, but for me, the cushioning setup that I like the most out of all 3 of these models that does play most to my playstyle would have to be the Nike Zoom GT Hustle 2. I just really like that close to the floor feeling with that Zoom Strobel, and then that Cushlon midsole full length as well offers a nice stable ride. So overall, I would have to say the Nike Zoom GT Hustle 2, as far as the cushioning goes, gets my vote. Really quickly, as far as the size goes, I went with my standard size 10.5. in all three of these shoes, and I had no issues at all. I would have to say the upper on the Hustle 2 is the most forgiving, whereas on the Jump 2s, they do start out just a little bit narrow and take some time to break in, but this upper does mold to your foot very nicely. And then I would have to say the Cut 3s are probably the most wide foot friendly, but overall I went with my standard size 10.5 in all three of these shoes. They all offer a very snug 1-to-1 fit, and I really had no issues across the board. Now as far as the materials go on these three shoes right here, you are getting a wide variety of materials. Again, starting with the Hustle 2s, you are kind of getting this neoprene, very comfortable material at the back of the shoe, and then almost like a canvas material here on the side, and then some mesh hits right here with some fused rands around the toe box. So very comfortable on foot. It breaks in very quickly, and it's actually quite breathable as well, because on the tongue you have a ton of huge perforations here on the tongue of the Hustle 2. So overall, I really enjoy the materials on the Hustle 2. Now on the GT Cut 3s, at the back of the shoe you do have a screen mesh with a synthetic material that does wrap around the side of the shoe, and then some nubuck or felt, more like felt material at the toe box, which is perforated, and that does wrap all the way up the tongue. So overall, on a $200 basketball shoe, I would have to say this is a pretty cheap material setup and really not worth the price point in my opinion. And then on the GT Jump 2s, you do get a synthetic combo of materials right here. So you are kind of getting a Leno weave material that was first seen, I believe, on the Air Jordan 35s or 36s. So it's basically a bunch of TPU plastic strands running throughout the upper of this material, and it is backed by a foam. It is kind of like an open cell foam, so these are very breathable and very minimal on your foot, which is definitely nice. At the back of the shoe, you actually have some airbags that do wrap around your foot, so just a crazy overall usage of materials right here. And then on the tongue, you get some fused portions at the top of the tongue, and then some more mesh running all the way down the center of the tongue to offer some breathability. So a very minimal setup as far as the upper goes, but as far as the bottom of the shoe, that's where you're kind of getting all of your cushion and support here on the GT Jump 2s. So as far as the materials go, I would actually have to say I like the materials the most on the Nike Zoom GT Jump 2s. Now as far as the support goes on all three of these shoes right here, I'll just get this out of the way right off the bat. The Nike Zoom GT Jump 2s are hands down the most supportive shoe. Now this is more of a mid-top shoe right here. Starting at the back of the shoe, you do have an internal heel counter, which is the same with both of these shoes right here. Moving your way down from that, you do have the jump frame that does wrap underneath the outsole and basically directly under your foot. So that really offers a ton of torsional rigidity right here, and it actually wraps all the way to the forefoot right here, kind of housing in those Zoom airbags to offer some stability side to side at the front of the shoe. And it wraps up the back of the shoe right here as well to again prevent that React foam from collapsing and causing instability. Moving your way up from that, this Leno weave upper is very thin, but it's very strong. So on those hard lateral cuts, this upper does a fantastic job of housing your foot within the shoe. And then at the second last eyelet right here on the inside, you do have a bunch of flywire, actually just one flywire cable on each side. And that does a fantastic job of pulling your foot back into the heel cup with that internal heel counter right here. So bar none, as far as the support goes, this shoe right here is the most supportive, and it just offers a ton of torsional rigidity and a springboard-like effect when you do load the shoe up, whether you're running or jumping. Moving over to the Nike Zoom GT Cut 3s, again, internal heel counter. This upper, as far as the materials go, is very strong, so on those hard lateral cuts, you're really not going to have any issues here on the Cut 3s. You also have this flywire material that does wrap up on the lateral and on the medial side. And then you also have this rubberized portion, this clip right here that does wrap up by your pinky toe. So again, on those hard lateral cuts, all of these things are preventing your foot from sliding over the footbed. Moving your way to the bottom, you have a pretty wide and stable base right here. And then you do have a TPU midfoot shank plate right here that does wrap all the way up into the forefoot right here. That does offer a decent torsional rigidity. And then again, when you load the shoe, it's like a springboard-like effect here in the Cut 3s. And then last but definitely least, as far as the support goes, the GT Hustle 2s have an internal heel counter, but I would say this is the most soft internal heel counter out of the three. And then moving your way down from that, this canvas material is pretty strong. So on those hard lateral cuts, it does a decent job here as far as keeping your foot on the footbed. And then this Cushlon foam right here in the forefoot, your foot is actually seated, housed within that. So again, on those hard lateral cuts, it does a decent job of keeping your foot on the footbed. Now, where this shoe is lacking the most is on the midfoot shank plate right here, because it doesn't even have one. So as you can see right here, you can fold this shoe up with ease and contort it with ease. So there's not going to be a ton of midfoot support. So what I did is I grabbed a Move insole, the Game Day insole, which does have a TPU kind of heel counter that does wrap up to the midfoot. I popped them in the shoe right here. They're obviously not in there right now, but when I'm playing in the shoe, I pop them in and I have no issues as far as the support goes. But the way it comes from the factory, you will be missing some support at that midfoot portion here in the Hustle 2s. So like I said, as far as the support goes, I would have to say the Jump 2s are the best, with the Cut 3s coming in next. And then last, like I said, definitely least as far as the support goes, I would give it to the Hustle 2s. And then really quickly, as far as the prices go, I believe the Hustle 2s come in at $170 or $175. The Jumps come in at $180 or $185. And then the Cut 3s come in at $190 for the standard colorways. This colorway right here, the All-Star Game colorway, was $200, so definitely the most expensive. I know you can find the Hustle 2s and the Jump 2s on sale right now on Nike.com and a ton of retailers in store. So if you are interested in both of these models, definitely don't pay full price. Look for those sales. But the Cut 3s are pretty new still, so I'm sure you'll be able to find these on sale in the coming weeks. But as I've seen online so far, they are kind of sitting at that $190 and $200 price tag. But like I mentioned, that's going to do it for today's video on the Greater Than series from Nike with the GT Jump 2s, the Hustle 2s, and the Cut 3s. I am very much looking forward to seeing what the brand does do with all of these models right here. But sound off in the comments, what is your favorite out of the Jump, the Hustle, or the Cuts? Obviously, a ton of people were a huge fan of the Cut ones. The Cut 3s are a decent shoe. I wouldn't say they're as good as the Cut ones, but sound off in the comments what your favorite is out of the three. As always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that definitely helps the channel a ton. And check out my Instagram over at SnkrTechTalk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.